not come up with a great name for our segment, but we're working on it, so bear with us.
Yeah.
So today we are in Prospect Park, and look
at this view.
Oh my gosh, it is gorgeous. But what's even better, and I wish that you could have smell-o-vision if that were a thing, because the smell of the orange blossoms. Oh my God, it is so amazing. If you live in Redlands or you've driven through here in the last week or so, you couldn't miss the smell. I mean, it hits you in the face as soon as you open your car door or your house or whatever. Normally I only smell it in the evenings at my house because I only live just down the street from here. But we got up here in like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and opened the car door and just boom, got hit with the smell of the orange blossoms. There's nothing like it.
It's better than fresh laundry.
Oh, way better.
So much better.
There's nothing that compares to the smell of the orange. I wish it lasted all year.
Me too.
So we wanted to talk because the orange industry was such a huge part of Redlands history. We kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the orange industry.
Yeah.
So we did some research and we found out some really interesting stuff. So let's start with the very first orange grove, which was planted in 1880 by E.J. Waite. Yeah, I forgot his initials, but E.J. Waite planted the very first orange grove in Redlands. He was a native of Wisconsin. He came out here, he planted the first orange groves
on Center Street.
On Center Street, and it kind of like just took off from there. So then for about, I don't know, 75 years, from the late 1880s to the late 1950s,
right,
Redlands was like the mecca
for
the orange industry.
Largest navel orange production in wherever.
No, the world.
Everywhere.
The world.
Yes.
So famous that the symbol of the orange actually became like what people around the world knew Southern California. Like Southern California, it was an orange.
Yeah.
Like you saw an orange, you thought about SoCal.
You see it all the time, and it just feels like it's comfortable and it's natural and it's home. But it actually is because of us. It's because of Redlands, right here, because of these trees.
Yeah.
Back in 1880 to 1950, there had been anywhere from few to 30 plus packing houses in Redlands, because Redlands also, we won't talk about it today, but was like a huge railroad industry boom here because of the oranges. So now today only one of the original packing houses remains, and it serves 2,500 acres of still operating orange groves in the area.
Yeah, which is, it's still cool. We still have a lot of trees in the area, and despite all of this though, even today, the smell of the orange blossoms, there's not as many orange groves as there used to be, and everybody knows that some of them have been taken down for development and whatnot, but the smell hasn't gone away. Like it still permeates the air. It's
fantastic. Just reminds you, when it just reminds you of home, it reminds you of the history, it reminds you of where Redlands started.
So I think it was in 1968 is when the city of Redlands got involved in the orange business, and they ended up purchasing the Prospect Park Grove, the historical grove here, and it's still to this day, it's owned by the city of Redlands. There was a little controversy a couple of years ago. The city was thinking about chopping these trees down and replanting with newer trees, and a bunch of the citizens in Redlands were like, oh, hell to the no.
The city was so upset, and I remember the petitions going around. I remember the newspaper, Redlands Daily Facts, everybody was talking about it, and it was the whole community came together and they voiced their voices, and
the city listened. Yeah, and so luckily the trees are still here, at least for the foreseeable future, and these are I think they're over 100 years old, but they're still producing, and they're beautiful, and they're historic, and nobody wants to see them go.
Yeah.
And even though the city's going to replant them, I mean, at some point it'll probably happen, but hopefully not until it has to happen, and I think that was the biggest thing. At this point, it doesn't have to happen.
Right.
So I think that there are a lot of properties in Redlands that are great representations of the citrus industry and the homes that were built because of the citrus industry. And I think the one that comes to mind right now, and a lot of it is because it's currently on the market, is 301 Palm Street. And it is a great representation of a home that was built in the 1800s. It's a beautiful home sitting on 8.8 acres of land.
It's so cool when you look at the aerial view of this property. It's a house, like a house surrounded by orange groves.
All these orange groves.
And then there's this house.
Super little house. There's a second house on the property, and it's kind of interesting because that little house that actually fronts on Ramona Street was used to film the movie of How to Make an American Quilt. So that's kind of cool. Another real cool thing about the property is that the guy who built and owned that property back in the 1800s is actually the gentleman who planted all of these trees in Prospect Park.
And established Prospect Park.
And established the park itself, so he's responsible for all that, which is pretty cool.
So cool. And crazy that house is for sale. Like,
it's been for sale for a long time. It is a huge piece of property and is quite the undertaking. It is listed at $3.2 million. If you got $3.2 million and you want to own an orange grove and
give us a call.
Couple of really amazing houses, you got our number, right?
And it's a piece of history.
It is a piece of history.
I know some people, we were talking, and some people have looked in buying it and they wanted to, you know, demo it and develop it. And I'm glad that the city is kind of not for that. So
yeah, we don't want to see another orange grove, especially a historic one, turned into a housing development.
No. So. So really cool fact is, you know, you could have moved here in, you know, 1800s to the 1950s, and you could have bought this small plot of land, an acre, 5 acres,
so small,
10 acres. But, you know, but back then there was nothing here.
So you could buy like 10 acres of land, which was the average amount of land that was owned by a citrus grove owner. So let's just do the statistics here.
Okay.
So you buy 10 acres of land, and a box of oranges we're selling for $5.90 a box.
Delicious.
Every tree produces approximately 20 boxes of oranges.
Okay.
You could get about 900 trees on 10 acres of land.
Ooh, girl.
So we can't do that math in our head, but we did it before we started.
We did.
And the math says that will gross you approximately $100,000 in 1 year. So people were doing, that's good now.
That's super
That's
good.
Amazingly good for the 1800s. And that's what a lot of people did. They moved to Redlands, they bought land, they planted the orange groves, and then they built. That's why we have some of these just amazing Victorian homes, and it's what established the city of Redlands.
Yeah.
So kind of a cool tidbit.
Super cool.
I wish we could buy 10 acres of land now.
No
And,
joke.
yeah,
There's nowhere to put 10 acres of oranges anymore.
Yeah, we missed out on that opportunity. So anyway, we just wanted to give you a little bit of historical background on the orange groves and the city of Redlands and the impact that it had on our beautiful community. And please
go outside,
roll down your windows, take a drive, open the windows at night. The weather's gorgeous and the smell is fantastic. I wish I could just bottle this stuff. Like, I've tried all kinds of different, like, nothing smells like the real thing though. So okay, so that's all we have for today. Tune in next Thursday. We'll see you then, and always remember to
know your value.
We'll see you guys next week.
I want to show you guys one.
Orange blossom?
Yeah. Ta-da! This guy's gonna clear up.
Park itself, so he's responsible for all that. Are you kidding me?
Can you hear it?
Yeah, but
sorry. Phone call. It's a new phone.